We'll continue from the last class how government is intervening the business. What are the roles and responsibility we discuss? What government is doing for the business and how government is related to impacting the business house in the country. What government is doing. So we'll discuss the same point and some additional point. We'll continue from the same thing. Then we'll go to CSR, corporate social responsibility. There are multiple types of corporate social responsibility we discussed in the last class. We'll continue from there. These are the points we discussed, how government is responsible in terms of infrastructure, law and order, rules and regulations. The government is doing all these things, enacting, enforcing the law, different rules and regulations government is imposing and building. They have all responsibility to bring. Suppose a company, a organization is doing business in this country, and what is the rules? Suppose take example of GST. GST one responsible government has implemented. So business house is paying the tax. What is they are doing? The government is building that rule, that regulation, all the laws making. If you talk about the taxation laws, so government is providing. So if you divide the responsibility, so what are the role government is playing? Government is regulate. We spoke about IDRA. There is a regulation act. So government has a regulatory role, entrepreneur role. What is entrepreneur role? There are different corporate. I have given some example. This is IR. This is so the transport system, OSRTC is transport system, MTNL is communication system. Like that, BSNL is there, BSNL. So all this communication system, HP is one software company. They also do hardware manufacturing. ISRTC is the railway company. So government is promoting and doing the work and playing the role of entrepreneur. Because of that, lot of industry, lot of employment is happening. So government is promoting in that. Promotional road. Government is also promoting the business by providing the road transport. Suppose your country, your district is not developed. So no other industry will come forward and set up the infrastructure there. Suppose your district has good road, good transportation, good communication, and well connected to international airport. So you are in a advantages. So government is promoting by providing good infrastructure. Good infrastructure means water collection, water connection, transportation, everything. The airport system, railway system, everything is government is providing. So government has a role to promote the area, provide SEG, software economy zone, special economy zone, not software, special economy zone. In this zone, government suppose गोटे जगह तुम देखी सो गवर्नमेंट बड़ा बड़ा घर तैयारी कर देगी बड़ा दूसरी इंडस्ट्री and if you operate your industry in that area, you will have a different tax slab or you will not have to pay the tax. That is known as special economic zone. Government is providing the facility and providing the good road, transport, building, everything, water. So you just have to go and start your industry. So that is known as special economic zone, SCG. In big town, they are government is doing that. Planning role. So government is also playing a role to plan the entire business. That means suppose a particular item, they have to balance the demand and supply. So government has to work on a budget, work on how to reduce the monopoly, and there are different yojana. Government is incorporating or introducing different yojana plans, 5 years plan, पंचवार्षिक योजना जो कहते, and remove the inequality. Suppose ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ଇଏ ସବୁ ଇନଇକ୍ୱାଲିଟି ଅଛି ତମର ଡାଇଭରସିଟି ପାଇଁ ତମର ଏରିଆରେ ତମର କିଛିଟା organization they prefer to recruit only male members, not female. But government has a role how to equalize between male and female. So government has to execute that plan. So there are different roles government is playing: regulatory role, entrepreneur role, promotional role, planning role. You have to remember this heading so that you can elaborate in a better way, or you can add more content to each of these heading. So government has different roles. So I was talking in the last class IDR. This is the next slide, I think. Yeah, IDR, Industries Development and Regulation Act. This is one act, but one way this is a rule towards the industry because government is developing a regulation, one act. So this is what we talked about the regulatory role. So government is introducing different act, different roles, different regulation. So that is the regulatory act. The Industries Development Regulatory Act. 1951 it is introduced, was enacted to provide for the development and regulation of certain industries. So how you will produce, how you will import, how you will export, everything is mentioned in the act. That is the rules and regulation of the act. Objectives and scope. What are the objectives and scope? Scope of this act. Where the IDRA is operated, what is the scope, what is the objective? To take a necessary step to the regulation and development of the important industry. So the main objective is to regulate the industries, their development, their growth, their production, their export, import, everything. To implement the industrial policy. To regulate the pattern and direction of industrial development. To control the activities, performance, and results of industrial undertaking in the public interest. So main objective is to regulate, to control, to implement different policies. So government has that regulatory role. So one thing, the act came by government. Because of that, lot of things will be streamlined within the industry, their production, their growth, and those are the objectives. Scope of this act. What are the industry where this act is implemented? That is the scope. And industrial undertaking, also called factory. So whatever production you are doing, that is also called factory. Or a purpose of act is the one where manufacturing process is being carried out. The meaning is given here, what you mean by industry and where this act is implemented, what is the scope of this act with the aid of power provided that 50 or more workers are working and were working on any day of the preceding 12 months. This is one condition. How this act, where this act is implemented. With the aid of power provided that 50 or more workers are working or were working. କାମ କରୁଥିବେ 50 ଜଣରୁ ଅଧିକ କିମ୍ବା 50 ଜଣ ମ୍ୟାନୁଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଚରିଂ ଏନି ଡେ ଯେକୌଣସି ଦିନ ଯଦି 50 ଜଣରୁ ଅଧିକ କାମ କରୁଥିବେ then that is called as industry and this act is applicable in that for last 12 months. Without the aid of power provided that 100 and or more workers are working or were working on any day of the preceding 12 months. This is another condition. The act applies only on the industrial undertaking, trading house, and financial institution are outside the purview of the act. Financial institutions are not included. Financial institution means banks, LIC, whoever providing the loan. Those are not included. Trading house are part of that. Trading house and financial institution are outside the book. Only factory. Trading house are not. Trading house and financial institution are outside the purview of the act. Those are not included in the act. Only the financial institution, only the factory industries are included in the act. So that is the scope of the act. Responsibility of business in the problems. We understood the government responsibility for the industry, for the organization. Here we are reading the responsibility of business house. Business ର କ'ଣ problem ଅଛି? That responsibility towards government, that responsibility towards the customer. There are different categories of responsibility. First responsibility is towards government. Apply your common sense. What is the responsibility of a business house, of an industry for the government? The first responsibility to pay the tax. If you are doing business, if you are running a factory, so your responsibility is to follow the government rules and pay the tax. That is what mentioned in the first couple of points. To set up business as per the guidelines issued by the government. That means whatever government saying, you have to listen to the guidelines, listen to the government rule. To ensure regulatory and honesty of the payment of fees, duties, tax, any fines, penalty, fee, registration fee, license, tax, you have to pay to the government. Government is earning money from that. Government ର ପଇସା ରୋଜଗାର କରିବାର ବାଟ କ'ଣ? That is, taxation is the only policy of government, only money making policy of government. Government को ତମେ ପଇସା ନ ଦେଲେ your business or your nation will not sound economically. You have to give the fees, duties, tax to the government, whatever mentioned. So I was giving one example, GST. What GST is telling? You have to give the all the indirect taxation under this to follow pollution control norms to the set of the government, to establish new business units in the rural areas, backward areas, for balanced regional development of the country. Once you have the industry, you have to follow the communication norms, like environment norms, lot of rules and regulations, how your pollution norms, what level of pollution you can make or you cannot make, and different rules and regulations provided, guidelines provided by the government you have to follow to avoid indulgence into monopolistic, all the trade restrictive practice, to avoid indulging the unlawful activities like bringing, etc. Any unlawful activities, any monopolistic, suppose any bad competition, you have to avoid those things in the organization. So these are the responsibility of organization towards government. So you remember few points, then you can write it. First thing is the Rules and Regulation Act, whatever the government guidelines provided, you have to follow. You have to pay all the tax, you have to pay all the fees, duties, and you have to follow the different norms. You have to see, avoid unlawful activities, monopolistic nature. These are the government, these are the company responsibility towards government. The responsibility of business towards the customers are as follows: to ensure the regular supply of goods and services. So, ଲୋକମାନେ କେମିତି ହଇରାଣ ନ ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ. So you have to ensure the regular flow of goods, regular supply of goods. The production will not hamper, offer good quality of product and services. You cannot compromise with the quality. You have to give the good quality of the product. The ଲୋକମାନେ କେମିତି ହଇରାଣ ନ ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ. To provide information about the product and company. ଯେମିତି advertisement ହେଉଛି, ଲୋକମାନେ ଜାଣିବେ କେମିତି ତମର ଗୋଟେ ଏମିତି product ଅଛି, ଏଇଭଳିଆ product ଅଛି, ଏଇ କାମ କରୁଛି. You have to give the proper information to the people. Maybe you have to announce, you have to give advertisement, you have to do whatever you want, what you have to give proper information. That is the responsibility of business towards the customer. To settle quickly the grievance of the consumer. Suppose ଲୋକ ଜଣେ complain ଦଉଛି, ତା complain କେମିତି solve କରିବା, କେମିତି ତା ପାଖରେ ଯାଇକି ତାର जो आंसर अच्छी किंतु पहुंचो. You have to set up different grievance unit, different complaint unit to avoid unfair means of like adulteration, जोड़ा भेजाल होची, मिश्रण होची, unfair होची, तमे यदि सेमती काम करिवो. Underweighting means suppose ओजन ने ठकिवा किंवा भेजा underweighting. माने लोक यदि 10 किलो मागुचंदी तमे तांगठो 9.5 किलो दउच, केमती तमरा ତମର ବାଲାନ୍ସ ସିଷ୍ଟମଟା ଠିକ ନାହିଁ, to provide information ଏସବୁ ଜିନିଷ ତମର ଲୋକଙ୍କ ପ୍ରତି ଗ୍ରାହକଙ୍କ ପ୍ରତି ତମର ରେସ୍ପନ୍ସିବିଲିଟି ରହିଛି. You have to have the responsibility for the government, for the customer. These are the main point for the government and customer. We also discussed last time the CSR activity. We'll continue that. We'll take a quick break here. These are the additional point you remember. Different responsibility of business towards government, responsibility of business towards customer. You remember this, and what are the government responsibility towards business? There are two different things. Remember all the points and go through it. We'll discuss that. We'll take a quick break, then we'll discuss the CSR activities. What we discussed in the last class will continue from there. Thank you.